What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss everything going on here in our country, in Washington, D.C., everything you need to know about, including the fourth stimulus package, stimulus check updates, money, investing, the stock market, everything you need to know about on a daily basis. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, make sure to click the subscribe button now. It's completely free to do so. New videos come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will keep you up to date here with everything. And there's a lot going on here. Check this out. The stock market got crushed yesterday. The Dow Jones Stock Index down over 500 points yesterday, 1.4%. The NASDAQ down almost double that, about 2.78%. And on several different things. Number one, the U.S. is going to be evacuating the Ukraine embassy amid Russian invasion fears. So they're going to be actually evacuating that. Also, the U.S. says that Russia could attack Ukraine at any given moment. So things have escalated. Remember, I said here just a few days ago that I didn't think that Putin had 100,000 plus troops at the border and that they were adding to them, adding supplies, adding troops, adding equipment there just for fun. They're adding to the line there. And they continue to add more and more to the line here. And here's the latest. Jake Sullivan, the national security advisor, warned that President Putin could launch a major assault on Ukraine before the end of the Winter Olympics in Beijing, but said that is on February 20th, I believe. But said that Mr. Putin has not reached a final decision yet. I don't think that Putin's going to tell the U.S. that he's going to invade, just so we're all kind of on the same page here. Quote, when we are in the window when an invasion could begin at any time, should Putin decide to order it. I mean, I think that he probably knows. He's just not going to tell us. I would not comment on the details of our intelligent information, but I do want to be clear. It could begin during the Olympics. We encourage all American citizens who remain in Ukraine to depart immediately. We want to be crystal clear on this point. Any American in Ukraine should leave as soon as possible and in any event in the next 24 to 48 hours. We obviously cannot predict the future, so leave now. We don't know exactly what is going to happen, but the risk now is high enough and the threat is now immediate enough that this is what prudence demands. If you stay, you are assuming risk with no guarantee that there will be any other opportunity to leave, and there are no prospects of a U.S. military evacuation in the event of a Russian invasion. Then a question was asked, does the U.S. believe that the president, Russian President Putin, has made a decision? Because PBS just reported a little bit ago that the U.S. does believe that Putin has made a decision, and has also communicated that that decision to the Russian military. Is that accurate? The report that you just referenced, which I have not seen yet, it does not accurately capture what the U.S. government's view is today. Our view is that we do not believe he has made any kind of final decision yet, or we don't know that he has made a final decision, and we have not communicated that yet to anybody. Yeah, so let me know your thoughts here. I probably think that, just in my opinion here, that if that happens, we'll probably see the stock market fall even more. But remember, just so everybody, if you kind of look at history here, here's the Dow Jones Index. Remember the S&P 500, the top 500 companies, the largest 500 companies in the U.S. were up 27% last year. As you can see here, you have a lot of dips along the road. This is a one-year chart. There's always dips. It's just kind of how the stock market is. This is a one-year chart. 1 year ago, the Dow Jones was at 31,458. Even now, with the stock market kind of getting rocked here recently, it's at 34,700, almost 35,000. A year ago, it was at 31,658. So it's still up about 10% from a year ago, even after having all this volatility here recently. Okay. And if you're a long-term investor and you just hold things tend to go up. If you look at a 5-year chart, 5 years ago, we were at 20,821. Now we're at almost 35,000. Okay. So if you go from 20,000 to 35,000, I mean, if you went from 20,000 to 40,000, that would be doubling your money, okay, in 5 years. So 20,000 to 35,000, what is that? That's like a 75% gain. Now this is on the Dow Jones Index, which is an array of funds or an array of stocks. It's a portfolio of they say it makes up a slattering of stocks that are supposed to track the economy of the U.S. But just keep that in mind. When the pandemic hit, we seen a quick drop here, and that was the best time to buy. You buy low, sell high, or you hold and it keeps growing. It's always best time to buy when there's the most panic and fear in the market. That's when things drop. And ironically, or crazily enough, that's the best time to buy. I say this because about 50% or even a little bit more of people have money in the stock market nowadays. Pensions, 401ks, just regular money in the markets, even cryptocurrencies. So just keep that in mind. That's just kind of a little bit of mentality there for money in the market. The thing is that if you sell and you sell on every little dip, every little scare, you'll always be selling at the dips of the lows. Okay, so keep that in mind. The other thing that's kind of a little scary for a lot of people right now, you'll see headlines like this: the Federal Reserve shouldn't panic. Top economists say, and that's because of inflation right now. Inflation is running red hot. Inflation is affecting pretty much everybody right now, unless you're very wealthy and you don't really have to worry about the 7.5% inflation that just happened here in January, the most recent reading. The Federal Reserve is going to be raising rates. They may actually be having an emergency meeting here in the next few days. And the question is to raise interest rates. And the question is here, are they going to do it here sooner than expected? Are they going to raise interest rates here in February instead of perhaps in March? And that actually might send the markets down a little bit too as well. But again, all this is kind of par for the course. They're actually going to raise interest rates a little bit, probably 1/4%, maybe 1/2%. They're going to probably do this a couple times throughout this year, because when they raise interest rates, remember, interest rates are historically at the lowest level they've ever been, or close to it. Okay, if you've seen mortgage rates, they're not right now. They've bumped up a little bit because of this, but recently, or even now, they're still near historic lows. So if you've refinanced your mortgage here lately, even if you go to refinance your mortgage now, you would still save a ton of money. You would save a ton of money. Anybody knows that if you got a home loan, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, we were paying sky high mortgage rates. It's just back then, mortgage rates were 10%, 15%. Just crazy. Now you can get home mortgage rates for, they're bumping up a little bit now, but mortgage rates were 3%, 4%, even slightly lower than that, depending on what, if you get a 5-year ARM or something like that. But if anything, being able to borrow money, mortgages, credit cards, home loans, car loans, personal loans, any type of loan, any type of money, even credit cards, technically that's borrowing money, has been cheaper than ever, has been low interest rates. So low interest keeps money flowing, but the problem is that that helps make inflation go faster. Okay, so they're going to creep up interest rates so that the money doesn't flow as fast. Okay, so the Fed's seeing that the money is flowing kind of fast right now because we're coming out of the recession, we're coming out of the depression. The problem is the pandemic is still here. Okay, the pandemic is still here. The virus is still here. In fact, The BA.2, the Omicron variant, is actually now the dominant variant in South Africa. Okay, that's the 2.0 version of Omicron, however you want to say it. Everybody pronounces it slightly different, right? So that's actually, the experts say, up to 1.5 times more contagious. And we know what happened with Omicron. It came here to the US and pow! Millions of people got sick. Well, now that we're, the curve is coming down, but some experts say the curve is coming down a little bit faster than it maybe would have, because they've sent out millions of these at-home tests. And these at-home tests people are using them. So there's not as many, there's not as many cases on the official case counts, because not as many people are going to the testing facilities, okay? So keep that in mind. But the question is, are we going to see another spike on this new Omicron variant 2.0 called BA.2? And why are we going to see this here next month again? I know. It's just absolutely crazy. So the question is how long is this pandemic going to go on and keep people struggling? And that's kind of the tale of the tape here, is that people are still struggling. People are still struggling, and many people need help. 63% of people are living paycheck to paycheck or even behind on paycheck and need help. And that's the problem here, is that inflation is hurting people. The pandemic is hurting people. And there's just so many people that still need help nowadays, right? And that's where stimulus kind of comes into play, is that they have to worry about inflation, but there's still $800 billion of stimulus money that's available to help people, that's already been passed, and wouldn't add to the debt and wouldn't add to inflation, because they've already passed it. They just need to send it out to the people. And they can do that and just literally take half that money and send it out as a stimulus check and give it to low-income people. And that's exactly what lawmakers should do. It's already been approved. Here's a couple things I want to show you. President Biden, we'll start with, first of all, inflation. Check this out.
President Biden says that he will work to alleviate the strain on Americans' pocketbooks. Kayla Tausche joins us right now with more on that front. Kayla, good morning.
Becky, good morning. The White House has shifted its message on inflation in recent months, acknowledging it may not go away until the end of this year and saying there's more the administration can do. Here's President Biden in Virginia yesterday.
I'm going to work like the devil to bring gas prices down, which I'm going to working to make sure that we keep strengthening the supply chains to bring the cost of energy and everything else.
The reality is the White House has exhausted the few tools it has available. Oil prices bounced back after an emergency reserve release, meat prices spiking again despite threats of corporate investigations, and supply chain fixes, they won't be silver bullets. And now a new tactic pointing straight to the Federal Reserve. The White House says the strong recovery and price increases mean it's time for the Fed to recalibrate that support. A senior official pointing to the move in the 10-year yield as evidence the Fed should act. But Jerome Powell, now the acting chair of the Fed, is the opposite of a lame duck, accelerating a major policy change without Congress's clear blessing. Raj Cohen, the preeminent financial services attorney, says the inflation report underscores the need to confirm Powell quickly, telling me, quote, the Federal Reserve Chair is the leader in the effort to moderate inflation, and there should not be any question as to the credibility and sustainability of the actions he takes. Now, administration officials past and present tell me the one tool the White House didn't use was sorting out Fed personnel sooner, so this didn't become an issue.
And here's what White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki had to say. Check this out.
Go ahead. A question on inflation, since this is the first time we've had a briefing since those numbers came out. The president has said the administration is going to continue to be all hands on deck to try and bring prices back down. Can you give us a sense of what that really looks like? Because you've pointed many times to parts of the Build Back Better agenda that remains stalled. In fact, one of Senator Manchin's big objections to the bill was the high rate of inflation. So if the Build Back Better plan sort of remains at this impasse, what's Plan B to try and bring down some of these costs?
Well, there's a couple steps that the president is very focused on as it relates to addressing inflation. One, I would note that economists in the Federal Reserve still predict that inflation will come down, will moderate over the course of the year. And the president has also said that he supports the steps that the Federal Reserve, an independent body, has announced about recalibrating over the course of the coming months. And he's obviously nominated a number of individuals to fill the board, which is an essential part of addressing this. But I would also note beyond that, how the president really looks at this is how you're addressing core costs for the American people. So you referenced the Build Back Better plan. First, we believe there's a path forward, and the president's going to continue to fight for it. Otherwise, he wouldn't have gone to Virginia earlier this week and talked about negotiating the price of prescription drugs. So his view is that in order to address costs that have been affecting inflation, but also infecting families for many decades, the cost of prescription drugs, the cost of childcare, we need to move that forward. But it's not just that. We also need to address supply chains in the short term at the ports, rebuild our manufacturing infrastructure, make sure that we are implementing the bipartisan infrastructure law and continuing to press for the competitiveness legislation that will help ensure we have funding for chips for manufacturing of cars here in the United States. And you've also heard him talk a fair amount about promoting competition, and that addresses issues like we've seen price increases in the meat industry and others, and that will help bring down costs for Americans. So there is certainly a significant and important, a vital role that the Federal Reserve plays. They are independent. He wants that board to be completely filled, but there are a number of other steps we are working to take to lower costs for the American people.
Yeah, so let me know your thoughts in the comments. What do you think the top couple things they can do to lower costs for the American people is? What do you think they can do here? If you were president, what do you think they could do to lower costs for the American people? And we have had several different things pitched here, potentially pausing the national gas tax from the federal level. We've had, I just did a recent video here on multiple different states that are considering pausing or reducing state gas tax as well. States actually, many states actually put more gas tax on the state level than the federal level does as well. So that could be a significant savings on for millions of Americans for filling up at the gas pump. If you didn't see that video, I will link you to that video here in a moment. You definitely want to check that video out. I'll link you to that video here in a second. But if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, make sure to click the subscribe button right now. It's completely free to do so you don't miss out on new videos. I will keep you up to date here with everything going on here in our country in Washington, D.C. and stimulus related here. There's a lot going on here. There's that $800 billion of stimulus money that the federal government has. We have multiple different states that have announced plans for stimulus checks and stimulus programs here in 2022. I'll keep you up to date here as I find out more information about that here on a daily basis. And pretty much everything going on here in our country. This whole Russia situation is, who knows what's going to happen with that here, but it's growing increasingly more severe. I think that's probably going to be, I don't know. We'll see here probably pretty soon. So let me know your thoughts. I'll keep you up to date. Remember, new videos come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can click here to watch my newest video next. And this video is how there could be immediate relief coming here soon on the price of gas. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.